Hey folks, welcome back and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Master Plan Retirement Consultants Retirement Roadmap. My name is Evan and with me as always, retirement planner Mark Fricks. Mark, how are we doing today?
We are great. Just having a good time.
Having a good time. We have been busy lately. The summer hasn't slowed down a whole lot for us, but that's a good thing. We've got a lot of client meetings, meeting with folks we love, and it's fun.
Well, I think the radio show and the podcast and the YouTube is beginning to grow and spread out there, and also referrals. I mean, we have great clients that love what we do, and they want to tell their friends and family as well. So it's just a kind of an exponential growth, and most of it organic. Yeah, just having fun because we love, as you know, we love teaching and we love meeting with clients. That's what's fun. That's why I said just doing great because we're doing what we love to do.
Yeah. Speaking of, if you are in the Augusta, Georgia area, we are going to be in Augusta teaching next week. However, you can go to our website, masterplanretire.com, and see our updated seminar and webinar schedule. So check that out if you're interested. Multiple retirement topics. This time we're teaching federal benefits. So if you are a federal employee, check it out. They are education first, so please take advantage of that. Mark, you sent an article to me about a week ago. We're always on the lookout for new video, retirement radio topics, things like that. And I looked at this from the Business Insider. A financial planner says rich people do 5 things with their money that keep them wealthy. That's the mouthful of a title. But it was interesting because there are actually a lot of different articles of this type. How do the wealthy stay wealthy? So I looked at some of the topics and agree with most of them. I think we agree with all of them, but then there were also a couple of areas that we thought might also
need to be added to that.
Yep. So we're going to go through some of those topics and then hopefully have time to add a couple of our own. The first one, how the wealthy stay wealthy. Number one, wealthy people have a financial plan and stick to it.
Where have I heard that before?
I don't know. So immediately, of course, that rings true to us. I mean, wealthy people who keep and even build their wealth over time always have a bigger picture financial plan. And as we know, it's not just tracking your spending and savings, it's budgeting and expenses, of course, but your insurance situation, estate planning, tax planning, employer benefits, investing plan, all these things work together holistically, which is how we approach retirement planning.
I think that's where a lot of people get off track, is that they think because they have a broker that's managing a couple of things or they have a 401k, they think they have a plan. That's not a plan, that's an account. And that's maybe somebody making some trades for you, but you're leaving out so many more pieces, as you just stated.
Yep.
And people come in and they're like, you know, our message is to convey the fact that there's so much more to it. And we need to add those pieces to make it a full, firm foundation.
And it's what you don't realize needs to be included, first of all, but also a lot of financial professionals will open an IRA for you and say that that's your retirement plan. That's not true. That's an account. So it is a little bit on the individual themselves to educate themselves and know what they need to work on. But some of the industry is a little misleading on that.
Well, that's the problem. You know, when I see an ad about investing or mutual funds or whatever, it's always about investing. It's never about all these other things. And so some people don't even realize that there are retirement consultants. You know, many people can call themselves an advisor because they have a license. That means they're advising investments. It doesn't necessarily mean they're advising retirement, or like we call it, a retirement roadmap. And so they just don't realize that's there and how important it is.
Yeah. So number one, finding the right professional to create a plan, show you how to implement it, and most importantly, stick to it.
All right, exactly.
Number two, they're neither worried about their investments nor managing them often.
Yeah, it's kind of hands off. If you've hired somebody to handle it, you know, the last thing you want to do is call up and say, well, why did you buy this, or why did we trade that, or whatever. There's a professional using computer algorithms telling them what to buy and what to sell. And so if you're second guessing that, you're basing that off of your fear or your greed or a news show you saw or a talking head somewhere that is trying to sell ads. That's not part of your plan. And you have to trust the process.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you need surgery and you start, you know, it's okay to get a second opinion, but you don't want to say, well, don't cut that way, cut this way. Stick to the plan.
Most of the wealthy people don't have stock trading on their minds, or at least the ones who are trying to look after their mental health. They're not thinking about trying to time the market, making lots of cash,
get rich quick,
the next hot stock. Exactly.
Right. It's a long-term plan. sharing some statistics earlier, I think, or maybe our producer was, about how much the market has grown over the last 10, 20, 30 years. So you have to have that outlook.
Shout out to Allie, our producer.
Thanks, Allie. And so if you're looking at today and this week and next month and, oh Lord, the election's coming up and all that, no, you need to have a 10-year, a 20-year, a 30-year vision of that, knowing that over those time periods, the market makes money and substantially makes money. Now, you may find some hidden stock somewhere if you play around enough, and there's these little stories float around, oh, I bought Microsoft at $5 a share. Well, you got lucky because there were another 1,000 companies like that out there that you could have bought. And so it's better off to be diversified and have a long-term plan, like you said.
And we also know what behavioral finance does to individuals. Emotional investing, the average investor managing their own funds earns under 2%, something like that.
1.9.
1.9. Yeah. So we don't want to try to outwit the markets. We really want to harness the power. This is a quote actually from the article that I liked. We don't try to outwit the markets. We just want to harness the power of the markets to give our investors the highest probability of success. And I kind of like that. It's much harder if your mindset is to beat the market and just make the slick move every time rather than riding the full wave of the ocean.
Yeah, I've got as you know, we've got a couple of clients that keep little pockets of money that they manage on their own, and that's fine. But one or two of them have larger pockets of money, and they've developed a system. But somewhere down the road, they'll come to me and say, I got off my system and I lost 20% or 30%. And so, again, you're not going to outsmart the market because, number one, it's a lot of numbers and trends and algorithms, but it's also a lot of emotion. World events, again, the election, hearing a story, this stock's doing great. I get an email this morning from a client that wants to buy a particular stock because it's really been climbing like crazy. That may be over with.
Yeah.
and so going all in on one stock is just not smart. Have that long range.
Gained popularity, you've missed out on
You've probably missed
the big point.
90% of the gains. Yep.
And that's why we allow we let the experts. You say this a lot. Let the experts do their job. Let the money managers do what we're hiring them to do. Take the emotion out of it. Rules-based, active money management. No one wants to spend 30 years of retirement worrying about their next paycheck.
Exactly.
That's why we talk about peace of mind in retirement. That's such an important thing.
Yep. Absolutely.
Number 3. Another habit of the wealthy to maintain their wealth, they're overplanned for retirement. So basically for many people, retiring from full-time work means living on a smaller income and making sacrifices. But wealthy people stay wealthy in retirement with some careful planning. As we mentioned before, that means a holistic plan covering all aspects of your retirement and how they work together, planning for the what-ifs. So by over-planning, we mean looking at the entire holistic picture, plan for stress test RCPs like we do retirement capital projections. Okay, where are weak points? Is this likely to happen? How likely is it? Well, let's make sure we're covered for it anyways. Even as far as projecting a longer life expectancy. No one wants to outlive their money. Maybe the family history, both parents died in their mid-70s. Well, let's go ahead and push it to mid-90s just to make sure we're covered in case you're so unlucky to live a long life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's different for different age groups too. If you're 35, it's probably more important that you have disability and life insurance. If you're 65, you don't need disability, and life insurance may play a different role. You may still need it, but a different role. But I love it when we have clients come in, and usually they're kids of clients, but not always, in their 30s and 40s. That's not the typical client that comes in, but we work with them. But they're already sticking to the basics and wanting more help and a better plan. And they also want somebody to kind of be their, what's the best way to say it? I guess their guide, but also somebody that kind of keeps them accountable. And so they're meeting with them once or twice a year, and they know, I got to meet with Mark in 3 months. We need to make sure we have these things in a row, and we haven't done this homework and that type of thing. And so they're going to have a great retirement. I mean, they're going to have a great, and they're not making millions of dollars. They're making middle America dollars, but they're starting early enough that they're going to have a great accumulation because they're sticking to the plan. And it's it's a plan that's also, adaptable to their life, the world, and things like that. So it's not etched in stone, but it's a plan that we can follow and maneuver as we need to.
Yeah. And by over planning, wealthy people are able to maintain hopefully the same standard of living in retirement as they did.
And maybe even better.
Right, right. So at the end of the day, the last thing we want to do is run out of money.
It would not be good. Nope.
All right, number 4, they find ways to reduce their taxes.
That's a big one. One of the best classes we teach, one of the best ones in attendance, is our tax planning class. And most people have kind of missed the boat on the early stages of that, but it's never too late. But as we've said before, I think you can lose more money to taxes than you can in the stock market. In fact, I know you can, because long term you'll make money in the stock market. But it's always about what ends up in your pocket. So if we can reduce taxes while you're working, and kind of balance that act, but certainly in retirement when you're on a fixed income, you decrease your taxes by 10%. You got a 10% raise in retirement, and so it's very critical. And again, that's not part of what the average advisor and broker will talk about. If you ask them about tax efficiencies and tax planning, they'll say, "Well, go see your CPA."
Yeah.
No cut to CPAs, but many CPAs are so busy preparing, they don't really have time to look that far in the future. Some really good ones can and do, but most of them don't. And so again, part of the holistic planning of a true retirement consultant includes that as a very big slice of the pie.
As you said, paying less in taxes means keeping more in your pocket in the long run. So for people who have grown their wealth, especially slowly over time, maybe it's not as big of a concern while they're in their early earning years, but the more wealth accumulation by retirement, if you've got a healthy base of assets, you're going to be in a higher tax bracket, especially as you start getting into RMDs and taking distributions from some of those retirement accounts you've done such a good job saving into. A tax strategy for retirement, 30 plus years potentially.
Well, and as you know, with that coming in, whether it's required minimum distributions to make sure people know what an RMD is, and anything else can also increase the cost of your Medicare Part B.
Yeah.
From $200 a month to up to $500 or $600 a month. You've got to watch that income and make sure it's not all taxable and showing up in your tax return. Again, another slice to that pie.
And there are ways of receiving the same amount of needed income, but without increasing
with less taxes.
Exactly, your taxable income rate. So if you're interested in how to receive tax-free income, give us a call or visit the website masterplanretire.com. At the website, you can schedule your complimentary consultation with one of our advisors. That's an opportunity to discuss your own retirement, have some retirement reports ran for you. Some of these illustrations we've already discussed. Get a 10,000-foot view of your own retirement. So that's masterplanretire.com. Click the Schedule Now button, or just give us a call, 770-980-9262. We are located in West Cobb, Marietta, Georgia. And if you're around here, come on in. We'd love to meet you and buy you a cup of coffee.
We also have clients in 23 states.
We do.
So we do a lot of Zoom, we do a lot of webinars, things like that. We got some clients we've never met face-to-face. Others we try to arrange a visit. But by the way, on that website, make sure you go to, is it events? The events tab?
Yeah, events.
Upcoming classes. There's some tax planning classes coming up in the fall and winter. So make sure you look that up. It could be a webinar. It could be face-to-face in your area. We teach all around the Southeast as well. So keep an eye on that, bookmark it. Like Evan said, great resources.
Yeah, check in every now and then too, because we usually only post about a month out. So you're not going to see what we have coming up in October right now. And
good
for
point.
those, so all right, number 5. And this is the final one for this particular article. They incorporate charitable giving into their financial planning. Now, typically, we would include this in the tax strategy because that's essentially what this is saying. But hand in hand with tax efficiency, wealthy people often include charitable giving in their financial plans. Not only do most wealthy people feel an obligation to give back, or at least maybe we hope they feel generous about that, but there are a number of tax advantages as well. Again, we would normally include this under the umbrella of all the tax planning and strategies, but there could be monetary donations, but they could also be gifts of shares of stock or distributions from an IRA after a certain age, which we do that with some of our clients.
Yeah, a couple of examples. If you are required to take minimum distributions, which means you're over the age of 70 to 73, depending on when you started them, you can donate them to a charity, a church, a nonprofit, and you're not taxed on them. So if you don't need that money, but you're having to take it out, but also stocks that are owned outside of an IRA. Let's say you bought Vanguard or again, Microsoft years ago, and if you sold it, you'd owe so much in taxes. Well, you can give part of that away to, again, a nonprofit, and you don't pay taxes on it. You've given it away, you get a tax deduction. When they sell it, they don't pay taxes on it because they're a nonprofit. So it's a great way, whether you're somebody that tithes or gives money to Humane Society or whatever, that's a great way to do that. So again, what you don't know, you don't know. So that's why we let you know what you need to know.
Yeah, lower your taxable income, which could in return reduce your income taxes and even, as you said earlier, Medicare premiums, things like that. So yeah, great. That's the 5 listed in this article of how the wealthy stay wealthy. We discussed a little bit of what we would potentially add to this list, and one of the first things we discussed was planning for wealth transfer. And by that I mean creating generational wealth, not only estate and legacy planning for the most efficient transfer of wealth, which is super important.
Right.
Make sure all your documents are aligned and everything is working in harmony. But I also think educating the next generation of your inheritors, your children who will be receiving this money or whoever may be, how to set themselves up and continue the growth of that legacy for the following generations. Whether that is just teaching them what your plan was and how you accumulated and built, and how maybe they could transfer that to the next generation as well, whether they're leveraging insurance. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I love the knowledge part because a lot of our clients will have what we call a family meeting. So they'll come in and bring their children, trustees, executor, whoever, but most importantly their children and grandchildren, if the grandchildren are old enough, to not only kind of see where they're at, and we will reveal as much as the client wants us to reveal, but more importantly, how they're treating their money, how they're leveraging their money, who we are, so that if something were to happen to them, they know where to go to make sure it's a smooth transition, as tax-free as possible, as probate-free as possible, which we've already pre-planned that. But if an adult child inherits a sizable IRA and they don't have guidance, and they just cash that thing out, they got a huge tax hit, as opposed to spreading it out over time and having other factors come into being. So having, I love that education, what you mentioned, Evan, and that's why many clients want us to work with their kids, is also so that they know what to do as money passes down. And so you may not think you have a family legacy. You may be sitting there going, yeah, we've got this, that, we're not wealthy. You'd be surprised over a 20 or 30 year period. If you have a good plan, you're still going to probably have some growth involved, and you may have more than you thought by the time you do pass away. And so there may be more legacy there than you thought. So how can we transfer that to the next generation? Like Evan said, with efficiency, tax efficiency, ease of transfer, but most importantly, that they know how to treat that money too. Yeah, that's a great point. I love that.
You had a really good point when we discussed earlier, moving from the growth phase to the income phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when people work, and we've talked about this before, of course, but as you're working all these years, you are accumulating money. It could be a thrift savings plan, it could be a 401k, a 403b, or whatever, but it's got one job, and that job is, as we always say, to grow, right? They put money in, you put money in, hopefully they're matching, it grows in the market grows over time, and so that's the only job. But as you begin preparing for retirement, and it could be 3 years outside of that, I'd prefer 5 years to 8 years to 10 years, but we begin slicing that money up in a fashion of a different kind of diversification. So when we're saving, it's diversified through large cap, small cap, international. That's still important, but now it's what is going to create income short term. What about long-term care income when inflation takes over? What about some tax-free income? What about some protected growth? So if the market's down, you still got some money that's growing but didn't go down. There's so many different buckets that we like to call them that we need, as opposed to one big growth bucket. So in the old days, it was, I need more bonds. That's real old thinking, okay? And there's a lot of reasons we don't do that anymore, but mostly because we can double the income that bonds would produce. So, but it is a phase that you really need to get help with. If you're using some old methods, you're not in the mode of today's modern retirement. So again, that retirement roadmap is so important.
And build, just as you said, multiple buckets. Just because you're moving from a growth phase into the income phase does not mean you don't still need growth.
Still got to have some growth. That's right.
Diversification is huge, but also this could be a whole nother bullet point, or is part of this one as well, is just building multiple sources of income.
Right. So most people have one or two Social Securities coming in. Some blessed folks, including government workers that we work with, have a pension still. But typically one or two Social Securities and or maybe a pension is really not enough if you want to maintain your standard of living. So there's other ways we develop what we call private pension plans that work just like they do, that give guaranteed income for life. Many of those sources grow over time, so they have a cost of living increase every year. And maybe there's some other things we can consider. We have some clients that develop their own little part-time businesses. Might not can do that forever, but maybe for a few years to delay Social Security or something. But really concentrating on an income plan that gives us money that we don't have to rely on the stock market growing every year to produce the same amount of income. I don't want to make from the stock market, take out 20,000 one year and drop it to 10 the next because the market dropped by 20. So you got to have a better plan than that.
Yeah. And then finally, just make retirement savings a priority. Consistent investments when you were young are great, but continuing to do that and put away and accumulate.
Yeah, I can remember in my 20s, the last thing on my mind was saving for retirement. First of all, am I going to live that long, right? But mostly, it was just like, I got better things to do. But then, you get married, start having kids, and you start getting in, you got to pay for the kids. So a lot of people don't really save a lot until the kids start getting older. But it's really important, do whatever you can now. If it's $25 a month, do $25 a month. Start building that backup emergency savings first. So put money in at work. If you are self-employed, develop your own employment plan. We do those as well. Which one's best for you? But start now. I don't care if you're 65, start now. We just had somebody recently that way behind, and he's going to have to work till 75, but at least he's starting now. Yeah. He's got 10 years to put money away, and I think it's going to work.
Yeah, we've got a plan in place for him, and yeah, we feel good about that. So, it's also, it takes discipline. A lot of this stuff takes personal discipline, and right now in our country, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck in America. I understand that. I have two young kids at home too. Trust me, I understand what it's like to watch the monthly budget really closely, but
that's part of the budget.
It takes sacrifice for some of this stuff, especially for anything worth doing requires work and sacrifice. Let's just say it that way. So it's critical to start as soon as you can.
One less dinner out per week.
Yeah.
2 less trips to Starbucks. We could talk about stuff like that all day long, but just look where you can save a little bit more. It will be worth it, I promise you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we got about a minute left. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today. I do want to remind you to check out our website, masterplanretire.com. There you can find a spot on our schedule at the Schedule Now button to schedule your complimentary consultation with one of our advisors. Check that out. We'll run some reports for you, discuss your own retirement. Mark, anything else you want to cover before we sign out?
That meeting is so important. The initial consultation is a 2-part meeting. The first one is a chat. Is to kind of find out where you're at, what your dreams are, your goals, your fears, things like that when it comes to money and retirement. Then, as you said, we run a series of reports. It's 2 complimentary meetings, and you will know where you stand. And that with that comes a peace of mind, especially when we show you how we can fix a lot of it. Okay, so schedule that appointment. It's worth your time. Don't procrastinate. Go ahead and do it.
Don't let the fear of unknown keep you from scheduling a consultation just to learn more about your situation.
Right.
The education is to help you and to give you an outlook of where do you actually need to focus. We had a conversation earlier today about a potential referral from one of our clients who is basically just too scared to reach out to us. So
fear, she's frozen in fear.
Yeah. So don't let that be an excuse. Reach out to us, masterplanretire.com.
Thanks for joining us, and until we see each other again, plan well and prosper. Take care.
This was Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks of Master Plan Retirement Consultants. To schedule a complimentary consultation, go to masterplanretire.com or call 770-980-9262. Thanks for listening, and remember, plan well and prosper.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, a registered investment advisor in the state of Georgia. Mark Fricks and Master Plan Retirement Consultants are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.